I was at brunch with a good friend of mine recently. He's a big real estate developer here in Dallas. I work in software sales, the tech industry. We are talking about how to make money given all of the volatility that's going on. We each have lost roughly 40 to 60% of our net worth investing in the stock market. We each are moderately concerned about losing our jobs with all the craziness around the layoffs. And I came away from that meeting with him saying, you know what, I need to do some more independent research to understand what is causing all of the problems in the market right now. And more importantly, what can I do about it to get ahead and find the edge, because things aren't just going to get better overnight. It starts with the Federal Reserve System, otherwise known as the Fed. The Fed is the central banking system in the United States of America. The Fed has three core objectives: stabilizing prices, maximizing employment, and maintaining long-term interest rates. What happens when interest rates increase, which is what's happening right now? It makes the cost of borrowing money more expensive. This is why it's harder to buy a home right now, to even buy cars, because loans and mortgages, the interest rate is increased, so you have to pay more interest over the cost of that loan. This also applies to corporations as well, specifically tech companies, which we're going to get to in a moment. Consumer demand also decreases because the cost of goods go up, stocks become less favorable, but on the other hand, you're able to earn more interest on your saved cash, which is going to be a strategy we cover at the end of today's video. On November 2nd, Wednesday, the Fed had their recent board meeting, and Jerome Powell leads the Fed, and he said, we are hiking interest rates by 75 basis points, which is basically 0.75% of a percentage point. This was expected. The consensus was that there was going to be a 75 basis point hike in November. There was going to be a 50% basis hike in December. There was going to be a 25% basis hike in January. So that was the expectation. But the key takeaways from this meeting, based on the observations that I've listened to smarter people than I observing this, and they said, we are willing to raise interest rates to whatever point necessary to reduce inflation. That is the main priority right now. We must reduce inflation, and in order to do that, interest rates are going to have to increase. The Fed said that they are willing to put the economy into a recession in order to reduce inflation. And they said they're willing to over-increase these rates, even if it really puts us into a severe recession, because they have tools at their disposal, which is basically quantitative easing, which is pumping money into the market artificially like they did in 2020 to really offset any ramifications if they go overboard. As an employee who works in tech, I came across this chart that I found really interesting that I want to share with you right now. This chart talks about the private software universe versus the public software universe at different levels of valuation. There are 15 private software companies with a $10 billion plus valuation versus 40 public software companies with a 10 billion plus valuation. There are 50 private software companies with a 5 billion plus valuation versus 60 public software companies with a $5+ billion valuation. As the cost of capital increases, i.e. interest rates hike, we are seeing significant cost-cutting efforts, meaning headcount reductions, hiring freezes, repricing of products. This is why you're hearing about all of these layoffs by Stripes, Twitter laying off 50% of their workforce, and there are loads of other companies that will have to continue to do layoffs in order to seek out greater profitability. As I personally reflect on all of this information and data, it can seem a bit overwhelming. So I synthesized everything into three main viewpoints, how I plan to operate going forward. Point number one is recognizing that things are not going to get better overnight, so we must adapt to the new reality. Take the NBA, for example. The NBA has a three-point shot, and teams like the Golden State Warriors, who adopted the three-point shot, are winning more than teams who are not adopting the three-point shot. So if you can't shoot the ball in the NBA, you basically don't have a role anymore. So ask yourself and look in the mirror today and say, as you work for your tech company, what role do you play in helping the company make more money or decrease cost? If you do not have a direct line of sight or direct accountability and responsibility for helping the company make more money or save more money, then you're at most risk of being laid off. As a frontline sales guy, I actually think I'm probably at more risk of being laid off than more technical colleagues who work in engineering or product or design, because their roles, I think, are a little bit more important. Unfortunately, I used to think the inverse, but it's still important to recognize that, hey, as a sales guy, I acquire new customers, and rather than just trying to hit my quota, I need to do it in the most efficient way possible, because these companies don't just care about growth, they care about efficient growth right now. Objective number 2 for me is to operate like high quality companies do. High quality companies are focused on long-term durable top line growth, which is growing revenue, and reducing burn rate, which is basically cutting costs. So as you think about an individual increasing your top line growth, that means the income that you recognize in the form of your monthly paycheck, whatever it may be. If you work for an organization, hopefully you get paid a salary. Hopefully for my salespeople out there, you get paid a commission as well. But nonetheless, you get paid twice a month and you are 100% reliant on your company. So you can either focus on performing better within your company if you are in a performance-based role, which if you're not, then that's also a problem. But perform better within your company to increase your ability to make income, or you can figure out how to diversify your income, which is starting a side hustle. I would recommend through the internet. It's as simple as building a YouTube channel, a podcast, a blog, or even figuring out how to sell something online. The caveat to this is if you're a great football player, but you try and sell cars on the weekend, you're not going to be a great car salesperson because you are a great football player. If you're a great salesperson or a great engineer or a great lawyer, rather than just saying, I'm going to go start a Shopify store because that's what everyone says I should do to make money online, figure out how can you use the existing synergy of your existing specialized knowledge of how to write a contract or how to read an expense report. How can you use that knowledge to help other people live better lives, feel inspired, be more successful, so that you can add value online, and then eventually you'll be able to make more money as a result, so you can diversify your income, which will grow your top line growth as an individual. That's what companies are focused on. Next, reducing burn rate. This is cutting cost. As I look at my own expense report month to month, I pay a lot of money in rent. And as I look at some of these other line items, the next highest cost line item for my expenses is food. So what did I do recently? I deleted the DoorDash app because I found that I don't have control, especially on the weekends if I'm drinking. I like to order chicken wings, and all of a sudden I'm dropping $50 on this DoorDash order. So I deleted the DoorDash app, and I'm being very mindful of the situations I put myself in, because if I just stay at home, I read my books, and I make videos, it costs me zero money, but it's helping me make more money. Whereas if I go out and start drinking beers and watch college football, all of a sudden I'll be more susceptible to gambling and irrational, erratic behavior, spending money on things I don't truly need. So I'm figuring out how can I operate like a high quality company does by making more money and reducing my costs. Ignore the noise and play the long game. I'm not here to scare you. The news is in business to scare you, fear porn to get clicks. I am here to embrace reality and deal with it and seek out the truth. So I look at all the moves on the chessboard and I say, okay, well, interest rates are increasing. Things aren't going to get better anytime soon. What can I control? Okay, I can control my decision making, my attitude, my effort. Think about Warren Buffett. In 2020, he had billions of dollars in cash. And imagine when all of these random investors are making money in crypto, in tech stocks, and it seems like everyone's a genius. And they're saying, Warren's lost his touch because he's missing out on all of these gains. All of a sudden, things immediately take a turn for the worst. Everyone is fully invested, including myself, so we have little capital to deploy. Meanwhile, Warren Buffett has the strongest balance sheet of anyone. He has billions of dollars of cash that he can now go and deploy at a discount sale. Every day, Warren Buffett, it's a discount sale for him because he ignored all of the noise and all of the hype and all of the hysteria, and he stayed true to the basics. And right now is an important time to embrace the basics and get back to the simple reality and truths that most directly contribute to your success. So it's not getting caught up in all this BS that's going on, and just focus on playing the long game. How do my actions today help me recognize more success towards my immediate goals? How do these immediate goals help me get closer to my long-term objectives. And that's what I'm focused on doing each and every day.